I think today, for us, it's just important to prove that EU is, again, better than an 8 to keep the bragging rights. And on top of it, we finally want to come back against Buffalo because the last game was really one-sided, and we want to prove that we are a better team. I mean, I don't know if I want to knock TL out of the tournament because that's like pretty mean, but I want to for sure make sure that, we win. So if they have to go out of the tournament, then they will just go out of the tournament.
Well, coming into the day, Jankos might not have expected the stakes to be as high as they now are for Game 4 here at MSI Group Stage. They have compounded exponentially for both Team Liquid and G2 Esports here.
I mean, yeah, the fact that G2 lost that game versus PVB means that, they either need to win this game and hope SKT loses to get second place. And if they lose this, they have no chance of that happening.
Yeah, and that's where this regional pride game all of a sudden jumped off a notch for G2. And at the same time, TL ultimately have destiny in their own hand. Even if they lose this, they still have the tiebreaker. But you would like to get through to semifinals with some streakiness of success, because for any chance going up against this Invictus Gaming lineup now, which is the most likely scenario for the 4th place, you need some consistency.
And walking off the caster desk to join the analyst desk to try to work out kind of where both these teams are at after their matches. Obviously, TL were very soundly defeated. G2 showed that they made some flaws in execution. So even just picking a winner here, like you want to just scream out G2, but stranger things have happened. This last day can have some surprise results.
And the surprising thing to me is that they share some mistakes. The inability to play 1-3-1 with the correct comp was something that we, crucified the TL lineup for, and then was shown again today by G2. And then potentially holes in the early game starting to appear for both of these teams, and the inability to claw your way back into it. So I think a lot of parity between these lineups right now.
Yeah, and I think it's almost like reverse of somewhat as well. Like Team Liquid against SKT felt, like they had no life. And sometimes they tried to make a couple plays, they always came up short. G2 made too many plays. They just kept fighting when they didn't necessarily need to play that style against the Fengvu comp. And so both these teams kind of need to actually go back more towards the middle for both of them.
While TL, as you mentioned, Spawn, still would have a second chance to qualify to the knockout stage with at least a tiebreaker at the end of the day if they lose here. I think the most important thing for a lot of NA fans is shirking the manner of loss that they suffered from the beginning of the day. Again, the idea of almost inaction from start to finish.
And again, I want to see them play towards the bottom side of the map and to give greater focus there in the draft. It's not good enough to give over the best champions they can play. This time around, it's going to be Xayah Rakan. I expect them to get rid of one of the half of the duos and then allow the control of Doublelift and Core JJ to start creeping up Summoner's Rift and impacting the mid lane, because right now they're not going through the right avenues.
But I'm so intrigued to see if this game kind of follows the predictable cadence, because you expect it to be team fight versus 1-3-1. And we saw the team fight team never get anywhere near a team fight, and the 1-3-1 team actually, very surprisingly, fail at 1-3-1. That is kind of G2's bread and butter. So given the baggage, there's so much baggage for both the squads here, and whichever of them can actually come over that is probably going to be the team that wins.
Yeah, and I think Jankos versus Smithy is a big part of that, because Smithy has felt like a large chunk of that baggage. And I think, the laners need to do more to help him out, but also not just picking Hecarim again against Jankos, who's probably going to be proactive and get into the lanes before Smithy hits his power spikes.
And so if Smithy can get things done early, I think on the side of G2, you're looking at, of course, the bottom lane, in particular, Mickey X holding an extraordinary number of deaths up to that 15-minute mark for his role in support.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the scary points. They've done fine in terms of CSD, but the mistakes that can come in for their bot lane for G2 needs to get cleaned up, because that's really what cost them the last game.
Well, the stakes are set for both of these squads. TL on the blue, G2 on the red. We're throwing it out to the casters to get us into this game.
Thank you very much. Quick shot here, joined by Kobe and Avedius as we dive straight into the draft. Rise, Silas, and Tarek taken away, Kobe.
Yep, no surprise here. On the blue side for Team Liquid, scariest things are those flexible picks between Caps and Wonder, taking out some of the best right now.
Well, Team Liquid, they are on blue side, which means they do get priority over a lot of those flex options. They have played the Jace in the past, except they're actually going to choose to ban it away, which kind of forces G2 into a choice. Do they want to take the Akali off the board, or do they want to allow Jensen to get his hands on it, given that they may have an answer prepared?
Yeah, Akali off, but Aurelia still open, a possible, melee assassin that either of them can pick up.
It looks like the hover is coming in from the side of Team Liquid for the time being. In recent memory, it feels like so far this tournament, Team Liquid haven't really played it so far during the regular season.
Can confirm. 0 Irelia picks this tournament for Team Liquid, and it is not secured. Instead, it's going to be the Jarvan for Xmithy. The analyst desk was saying how they wanted a higher priority pick for Xmithy's champion.
Yeah, honestly, I want something for him with a lot of mobility early on, too, so that if he does find himself, in the river without lanes pushing, then there will be a way out.
And my expectations now are that the Irelia and the Tahm Kench, as predicted, will come out from the side of G2. When they're on the red side, they really value having this Tahm Kench pick. Not only is it a takeaway from the side of Core JJ, but also they just feel it's one of the most defensive options. But this just now, to me, suggests that Team Liquid will look for a Galio pickup, perhaps with the Kai'Sa as well.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly does. All of the best things about Tahm Kench are really exacerbated on the red side. Defending here, perks for the bottom side. They talked about a lot of the Mickey X deaths early on in lane phase. If he stands back and plays defensively, should be just fine. Double F, though, no surprise, locking in the Kai'Sa once again.
2 games played, no wins yet for Team Liquid, and Team Liquid control all of the outcomes. If Team Liquid win this game, our 1, 2, 3, and 4 are set and locked regardless of the next 2 games' results. And importantly, Team Liquid will secure that 4th spot in the semifinals. Galio secured, as you anticipated, Vedius, and now it's up to G2 to respond.
I wanted to talk about the possibility of a Rek'Sai, but G2 already hovering it. I thought they might put more priority on it earlier in the draft, but they did decide to go for the Tahm Kench. I feel like it makes the most sense up against the Jarvan. Not only are they the 2 most contested junglers in the time, but I do feel that in the early game, Rek'Sai often has the advantage over the Jarvan, given that I believe you can interrupt the EQ combo if you time your knockup correctly.
Yeah, in the LCS, during our regular season, we had quite the unlucky run for Jarvan versus Rek'Sai matchups. It was about a 0-6 at one point, I believe, and that is going to look to continue here.
Now, as we move into the second phase, it looks like the G2 are putting more focus towards the top side of the map. They're going to take the Gangplank away. To me, this does suggest that G2 haven't quite locked in their top laner yet. It is Caps that usually goes towards the Irelia, even though individuals like Frost proclaim that Wunder does come across as the stronger Irelia, and I'm likely to agree. His mechanics and usually the way in which he sets up his stuns is what most impresses me about his Irelia play.
But we need to see where it lands, because there's still a lot on the table, and of course Team Liquid having not, officially shown their solo laners means there's, tools to play with. Nico has been hovered, and we've seen Nico showing up a little more frequently, as has Kennen. Kennen banned away now from Impact. He's played that twice this tournament, and Team Liquid 1 ban left to go.
Yeah, they're trying to whittle away down their options. I do expect G2 to lock in their marksman first here, so they can retain the flexibility of Aurelia and not show either solo lane position until the very last pick. So Team Liquid are also trying to whittle down on the possible options for perks, taking out that Draven.
And I love the Nico ban came through, because Team Liquid are very aware that it could go into the bottom lane, so G2 are answering with a potentially very safe bottom half of the map. Ezreal, Tahm Kench, one of the safest bot lanes in the current map.
And when people have been looking at these 2 teams, they're like, okay, well, Team Liquid's way to win is through the bottom side. G2 drafted the safest bottom lane possible here with Ezreal and Tahm Kench, so they can allow Jankos to help out Wunder and Caps, get these solo lanes off to a good start, and find victory that way.
And of course, as Team Liquid enter this final phase of picks, LeBlanc now locked in, so this will give Caps the option to run something into it, and Impact will likely lock in this Vladimir, so some scaling options as well, and now it's up to G2 to reply.
Now, the last time that these 2 teams did meet, it was Wunder that took the Vladimir into Team Liquid, and they answered by taking the Aatrox, which is where we saw Impact get that kill, which ultimately did trade in a 1-for-1, but we saw Impact applying a lot of pressure in that matchup towards the top side.
And now that we do see the full lineups here, I really want to see more work from Xmithy and Jensen together. They have the Jarvan and LeBlanc combination playing into a Corki, which is a very standard counter to LeBlanc, often picked into it with something like a barrier, trying to scale into damage later. But we have not seen a lot of Xmithy and Jensen working aggressively in the early game together to try and allow, some more control and some more movement that way. Doublelift and Impact, as you guys have touched on, are both looking more for scaling.
My eyes right now are on the duos. As you already mentioned, Xmithy and Jensen have a really strong opportunity here to actually make a lot of things happen in the early game, whereas for G2, I feel like Wonder and Jankos need to be the duo that we keep our eyes on. The Aurelia, they have a lot of options to play around her in the early game, and once you pick up things like the package, the ability of Corki to roam up towards the top side along with Jankos to try and get Wonder ahead is very fruitful, especially when Vladimir is at his weakest.
Well, a lot of early game decision making then, and of course we can see the coaches shaking hands as they step off the stage. Just to reiterate and remind everybody, there are 8 possible scenarios to round out today, and if Team Liquid win this game, they will guarantee that not only they advance to the semifinals, but that G2 Esports lose the 2nd seed. In order for G2 Esports to secure the 2nd seed, they need to win this game and then hope that Invictus Gaming take down SK Telecom later this evening. So there's a lot on the line for these two teams, Kobe.
Definitely.
It always catches me just a little off guard there, gentlemen. Just a little off guard as we jump into NA versus EU. Team Liquid versus G2 Esports. G2 lost that game to Fong Vu Buffalo earlier today. They are 0-2, and of course Team Liquid have taken them down 5 times this tournament. It has created this crazy scenario where G2 can lose their 2nd seed, but it's not over yet. We still have a full game to get through, and we need to see which team will get an advantage early on.
Now, with the compositions that we're seeing, there's actually a lot of scaling on both sides. You look at Team Liquid and you see the Vladimir in the top side, you see the Kai'Sa in the bottom. Arguably, LeBlanc, she does actually scale very well when she hits 3 items, and her ability to poke and threaten a potential one-shot is very high as the game progresses. Meanwhile, for G2, they have the...
Yeah, great point, Medius, but Caps has a better one.
Caps asserting his dominance in the mid lane, I guess.
That is the best thing I have seen yet.
Man.
I wasn't expecting that at all. Well, you were touching on scaling though, Medius, and Corki in the mid lane is a good source of that for G2. The general idea usually with Corki into LeBlanc, heading for that Trinity Force early on and having the burst damage to try and answer when she goes in with the distortion.
And of course, Caps, he managed to get caught. A little booty wiggle there. He actually got caught on mic check, talking and kind of calling Jensen out a little bit back to Lissandra. So when I see a little bit of taunting there in the mid lane, it just reminds me of a couple days ago.
Yeah, there's always that extra edge of trying to play the mental game versus, EU versus NA. There's a lot that goes with these matches, and just trying to have a little bit of fun with it.
We'll see whether or not it helps the matchup, of course, because as it stands, Caps is going to be pushing in the mid lane. Wonder's already getting some good trades onto Impact up top.
And I already early on want to draw some attention to the mini-map, because you'll notice that as a bit of trading happens in the mid lane, you'll notice that mid lane does in fact have priority, and the bot lane has priority as well, which has allowed the jungler to go from red immediately into the river to secure bot scuttle. This means that there's a lot of bot map control in favor of Team Liquid, and this will further allow CoreJJ and Doublelift to continue applying pressure at these early levels. And we already talked about how they have this favorable matchup against a very safe defensive bot lane from G2. They can continue to scale up and be this big carry threat later on.
And of course, G2 looking at these matchups, very well aware of this. They placed that control ward that you could see, or not a control ward, the regular ward in the brush by the Scuttle Crab, so they saw everything happen. And Jankos, with the extra level lead, does take the Scuttle Crab before Xmithy gets there.
And of course, during the draft, Vedius, you were mentioning how you wanted to see Jankos and Wonder try to double team up and try to get some sort of advantages for this Aurelia before the Vlad scale up. The wave pushed him pretty heavily. Jankos is now moving back towards his jungle as Jensen continues to push forward onto Caps. There is a little bit of a chase on, but with Distortion and Flash, Jensen will be able to escape a summer spell used.
And that's the big part about the matchup, right? LeBlanc always using the distortion to play offensively. We just caught Jensen going in for the harassment, uses the full combo with distortion. That's when you gank. Try and time your ganks right after the LeBlanc goes for a trade, because you won't have the extra escape available. And keeping up that chase, they actually get Jensen to burn the flash at the end. He does not want to risk getting flash knockup hit from Jankos. He does get the stop under tower, but they're both fairly low health. So we'll see if that even helps.
Oh,
dangerous.
That's a great back and forth. First blood picked up by Xmithy in the 2v2. Now Smithy's running from his life. Jankos gets the furious bite, but no reply.
What did I ask of them, Medius? Xmithy and Jensen to work together. They do it here. At 4 minutes into the game, they're able to get the kill onto Caps. Jensen stopped the recall and then called Xmithy over to come by for the second trade.
And notice that Caps isn't running any defensive summoner spells. He chooses to go for the teleport. So this time around, when it looked like an over-aggressive play from Jensen, he converts it into a kill, knowing that his jungler is behind him.
Jankos hasn't left yet. I'm wondering if he's going to dive. Doesn't fancy it.
He might try and stop the back with a Prey Seeker. That's super high value if he knew where the recall was. Don't know if he actually had already shot it, but we'll talk about the positive side of teleport after this. So here we go. Jensen goes in for the trade. He's got the ignite. Xmithy gets there with the flag and drag flash to finish off the kill. So there's no opportunity for Caps to flash because Xmithy preempts it and is able to get the flash himself to secure that knockup. But again, since you pointed out, Caps running this teleport, he teleports right back to lane, keeps up the pressure, is able to continue farming, and Jensen goes for that recall.
And crucially, the LeBlanc doesn't secure the first blood, which means that in terms of the 1 versus 1 matchup, Corki isn't going to be too afraid. The only thing that Caps needs to be scared of is the experience disadvantage, which is slightly compensated for thanks to the teleport.
Repeat gank here from Jankos. They're betting that Jensen goes aggressively again, but you need to save that distortion if you don't have vision, and you need to play to your strong side here. Really good pan by the observers. You can see the double control wards from Team Liquid on bottom side. That's the strong side we're referring to in this scenario that the LeBlanc should be helping.
What a quick glimpse there of Jensen stepping forward. Didn't find any damage onto Caps, though. And as is customary, almost every time Mickey recalls the first time, swings around middle, drops by, clears out one of the control wards, instantly replaced by Core JJ. And no further setup. BF Sword picked up for double lift on his first back. Perks recalled and is running back to lane, so he's holding onto that teleport. He's got himself the Sheen and the Sapphire Crystal.
And those bottom lane teleports are actually very important in this game. This is an Infernal Drake first dragon spawn. So very, very critical as far as which team is able to get bottom lane pushing. You can see right now Team Liquid already trying to get deeper vision on this half of the map.
Yeah, and Team Liquid are doing a fantastic job of it right now. They had the bot pushed in. Jensen got a beautiful trade up against Caps, and then he hit 6 immediately after. So given that Caps is only at 50% HP, the risk of an all-in is very high. So he's now forced to play even more defensively and cannot look to assist his jungler. So G2 slowly losing more and more control over the bottom half of the map.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, Perks is far a little bit behind in CS. Sorry, Caps is farming a little bit ahead. +6 on the G2 mid laner, +10 on the TL bot lane. And of course, we saw the vision being pushed into that right-hand quadrant from G2 Esports. Multiple members of Team Liquid stepping forward is going to allow them to steal away this blue buff and continue to apply pressure on their strong half of the map and potentially start this Infernal if no one from G2 wants to.
Now, G2 are expecting this Infernal Drake to start, so keep an eye on the minimap once again. You'll notice that Wonder actually started roaming down. G2 are talking about a potential fight, but with no real information on what's going on and noticing that everyone is actually returning to their lanes, they said, okay, we're going to back off. Wonder, you can go back to top lane. We don't need to force a fight here.
And what just happened there, where we saw with the blue steal, as we pause here to see if Jankos will go aggressively, is kind of a consequence of G2 drafting the way they have in the mid lane and bot!
Well, Caps is dead. Exactly what you wanted to see, Kobe! Xmithy and Jensen working together to shut down Caps.
A repeat gank there once again. Caps goes down. Was the flash available? It is now.
But the thing that he wasn't expecting was that there would be a jungler right behind the chain securing a kill. The thing is, because he was locked under tower, once again, the flag and drag could set up for the CC, which was long enough to find that kill, and our Team Liquid can quickly convert this into the first Drake of the game.
And again, another big bonus of those control wards in the river, allowing them that gank path to set it up. Now they've got the objective on top of it, and this is a very big snowball from the bottom half.
Man, it is 1,500 gold lead, 2 kills, an Infernal Drake, and we're not even at 10 minutes on the clock. This is a fantastic start for Team Liquid, and the duo of Xmithie and Jensen are working together exquisitely. Jankos showed his face. He got the flash in the mid lane, but this is a replay of just how quickly Caps went down.
Yes, the chain has already locked him in place, so there's 0 chance of him getting out. And again, Xmithie comes over the wall from the control ward, so there is no vision. Just a nice play by the duo.
Want to keep referring fans' attention to the minimap because you have to keep your eyes on how much G2 is moving around the map. Caps has just picked up the package, and he was looking for a potential roam bot to maybe shut down the pushing Doublelift and Core JJ. Fortunately for Team Liquid, they had great vision already set up in the river, double control wards, meaning that a roam was very telegraphed, it was very well known, and no one ends up losing their life.
So Team Liquid off to a very good start, but G2 obviously we've touched on the fact that they do have very good scaling. Wonder has been pushing an impact a lot, but it hasn't accrued a significant lead. That minion wave will give them about a 6 or 7 CS advantage as Wonder farms under the turret. But teleports are coming back up for both Wonder and Caps. And if G2 want to make any proactive plays, they're starting to hit that point, levels and items where they want to.
Yeah, the items are critical for this team. This is a triple Trinity Force lineup that G2 have drafted. Aurelia, Corki, and Ezreal all have the possibility of going this item. Yes, Ezreal can go with the Iceborne Gauntlet for the armor, but you know he is also facing double AP solo laner, so might want the extra burst damage of Trinity Force, and those spikes coming through are where G2 wants to actually take their fights.
And I completely agree with you, Code, because when we talked a lot about this team during the regular season, it was actually the 15-minute mark onwards where G2 really turned on as a team. That's when they really start to look to be proactive, and that's where we're expecting these spikes to come through, as Wonder's now the target.
Oh, take a look at that. Flash for flash. Wonder just gets dunked, shut down, and it's Xmithie once again with the roam.
And we talk about how G2 could potentially get to that mid-game point. Unfortunately for them, everything is falling apart in the early game. Xmithie is turning on as a jungler, finding 3 successful ganks and amounting in a very substantial early game lead for Team Liquid.
This already seems like Xmithie's best game of the entire tournament here so far. Now he's to turn his eyes towards the objective, picking up Rift Herald for the team as well.
And of course, need to remind everybody of the stakes. If Team Liquid win, they guarantee themselves that 4th seed going into playoffs, and they guarantee that G2 Esports takes 3rd place, meaning Invictus Gaming will get to choose NA or EU for their semi-final match.
And the thing is, for Team Liquid, is this is kind of the best kind of game that they could want versus G2, because the way in which they succeed the most is when the game is more slower paced, more controlled, when they get to take time to make their decisions. And with G2's composition, it's not sporadic, it's not skirmish heavy, it's not about crazy aggression all over the shop. And given that they found this early lead, they're actually set up for success as the game progresses.
Yeah, they definitely are set up for it. I think they still need to keep their eyes open. Mickey X has just hit level 6 on the Tahm Kench, so more possibilities of those roams that you talk about are coming through. Jensen goes aggressive on Caps once again, and Core JJ is the one this time with his back.
Yeah, Jensen didn't find the chains this time around. Jankos is going to step forward. Chilling Smite is enough to force the flash, and Jensen escapes with his life. Jankos held on to that Void Rush. I hear the Rift Herald has been summoned down the bottom lane as Xmithie, after helping mid and top, shows his face bottom. And just before the 12.5-minute mark, that bottom tower is going on. Jensen gets the solo kill onto Caps. Jankos finds one in reply with a Prey Seeker, but that was a solo kill for Jensen.
Awesome outplay right there, but it's cut so short by Jankos finding the counter kill. Bottom side, a little bit more action as Xmithie kills the control ward and backs off.
Yeah, G2 Esports clearing out that minion wave to mitigate the chances of a tower dive. With Jankos now roaming towards this bottom lane, Xmithie decides to back away, and I don't care if the celebration was short-lived. Jensen picking up the solo kill is what you want to see as a North American fan. Core JJ starts to charge up. The taunt will actually not find a target. Justice punches away to safety, and this tower is getting so low. Oh, is this going to be a full fight? Just a trade for now.
Just some fancy Aurelia moves, dancing around the minions.
All 3 of us hold our breath as we wait to see, like, does Impact go further? But no, not right now. Team Liquid content with the lead they've built up.
Let's see if anything comes of this dragon that's about to spawn here, because we do have a couple of recalls being synced up. Replay instead. Jensen. Okay, so this is the one where he sees Jankos go to the bottom side. So Jensen's probably aware that Caps is going to try and force something under the turret here. Caps forces pretty hard, though. And Jensen taking the distortion back to dodge the big one missile coming out of Caps allows him to get the kill under tower. However, Jankos still there, gets over the back of the Raptor pit, and is able to get the assisted kill right back.
That replay was, depending on your perspective, is very different. If you're North American, you're like, damn, Jensen completely outplayed Caps there. Whereas if you're European, it's like, how did Caps miss everything? He didn't land a single skill shot. Some fancy footwork coming out from the mid laner from Team Liquid as TL secure their first.
And the funny thing, too, is the gold difference isn't that big because one of the kills is assisted, so you get an extra 50% gold, basically. In the meantime, though, that dragon is being taken up, and it's going over to Team Liquid. Tower was killed on the bottom side as well, and this is a very good pace for them at 14 minutes. Fairly significant lead.
I think Team Liquid are playing this game beautifully right now. The fact that they've got this kind of a lead with a composition that's right now is gearing very much towards team fighting. You have a Kai'Sa that's already completed the Stormraiser. The Vladimir has gone very even with Wonder in laning phase. After falling at an early deficit, he's come back very nicely, and they're kind of setting themselves up to be in a great position to fight around these neutral objectives.
Now, both sides have hit that first item power spike. Stormraiser for double lift, Ludens for Jensen, Protobelt for impact. On the other side, Wonder's got himself the Wit's End, Trinity Force for Caps, and that Iceborne Gauntlet for Perks. So G2 Esports have got a little bit more power to play with, especially with Caps running around with the package. But at a 2,500 gold deficit, G2 Esports cannot afford any more mistakes. Team Liquid have the ability to close a game out when they have a lead, and G2 right now are making mistakes, so they are being punished by very good plays by Team Liquid.
Honestly, we talk about G2 being punished, but to me it just feels like TL are actually making very good proactive moves. Like, a lot of the decisions that they're making are just very clean, and the execution is very good. So a lot of props needs to go to Team Liquid, where the pressure feels on and they're living up to it.
All right, Caps now gets jumped on once again. The dunk comes out, devoured by Mickey, buys enough time. Core JJ arrived as well, so a couple of ultimates used, and just the Devour to escape to safety. That's a good sign for G2.
That's another one of those aggressive looks you're talking about there, Vedius, where Team Liquid continually looking for plays. This time around, really good dodge from G2 to avoid the big Galio ultimate cooldown.
While I'm looking at the siege in the middle lane, Impact swapped bottom. He's pushed that wave all the way up to that inner turret, and Caps is there to catch it and respond. Perks now parked off in that middle lane, and he's going to be on wave clear duty for now.
Team Liquid have beautiful control across the entirety of the map right now. They have knowledge that there are 3 members of G2 in the middle lane, which means that they can send 2 members up through the top side jungle as Team Liquid is pushing in the top lane and start to get this deeper vision. Wonder is forced to back off because he has no information on his half of the jungle, and this means that another tower will go in favor of Team Liquid.
Yeah, Wonder really wants a 1v1 with one of the AP solo laners. He's invested it into the Wit's End. He does not have a very good chance versus the duo lane of Core JJ and Double Lift, so they have to give up another turret here on the outside.
It just extends that gold lead even further. 2 dragons and 3.5k. Smithy will get chunked out by Caps. He's going to use the Valkyrie forward. Mickey decides not to chase. Throws out the tongue lash, and there's no follow-up from the rest of G2. Instead, defensive teleport from Perks, who's now joined the middle lane with that Mana Immune picked up. Trying to channel that up towards the Muramana, and the Mountain Drake is just a couple minutes away.
All right, so G2 now should be, spreading out into their 1-3-1 with the Tahm Kench protecting Ezreal in mid lane. Their big problem is they don't have early game pressure. Usually at this point in the game, you want to be pushing those out and being able to get the advantage past the river here. Whoa, Perks goes in aggressively with Mickey gets there.
All right, Jensen throws out the chains. The Blast Combo buys some time. The rest of Team Liquid trying to chase up. That's a very good True Shot barrage. Gonna get Jensen very, very low. Perks continues to chase forward, looking at the minimap. Wonder's coming from the mid lane, but there's simply not enough to chase further.
Wonder going to join the rest of the team, and this will actually give G2 some priority through the bot side river. Unfortunately for them, the Dragon is still 1 minute away, so they can't look to grab themselves another objective. But the one thing I will say about G2's comp is they do actually have a lot of poke. With the Corki and the Ezreal, when Team Liquid try to set up for an objective, G2 can sit in these pockets of darkness and just throw these bits of damage out over the wall and look to try and chunk Team Liquid down.
Oh man, Jankos is already gone. Smithy's found him, double if dunked him. That's yet another kill. 5 on the board, 4 of which Smithy's been involved in.
That is going to be more control for Team Liquid to move into the jungle.
Oh, they're going to chase forward. Caps and Mickey fancy themselves some damage in reply. Wonder's up in the top lane. He's got teleport available to him. Team Liquid are pushing. 45 seconds until the next dragon. They've got pressure in the mid lane. They've got Caps potentially flanked, and this could be a tower dive. This could become a 4-on-1. Caps has got Flash and Valk available. He's already flashed, now he's Valk. Ignite is ticking down. Here comes Impact. Protobelt forward. That should be enough to take out Caps. The pop goes down. Impact gets him. Vanguard's Edge buys some time as Wonder's forced to run for his life. Now Smithy gets out, and Perks goes down as well. I didn't even see Jensen find the kill, but he gets another.
Where did this team come from? Team Liquid looking completely different from the rest of the tournament here. They have turned it up to 11.
All right, Abyssal Voyage comes in from Mickey. He delivers Wonder into the jungle. Jankos needs to run for his life. Flash is still available to him. Flashes away, gets tagged, bursts down, but not killed just yet. Doublelift doesn't have an ultimate to chase. Team Liquid own the Rift, and they are pushing G2 off.
Beautiful execution coming out from Team Liquid right now, and it is the members of Jensen and Impact that are making these fantastic plays. The players, Impact, while having a great tournament, has not converted those leads into carry performances, and Jensen and Smithy have been the primary controversy for this team, but right now they're looking fantastic, and they're looking to upset G2.
I agree. I think that's the biggest point there. Smithy and Jensen have continually made these really big offensive looks, and they are paying off. Here is another look at the tower dive. Smithy actually this time getting the knockup onto Caps, and the Ignite goes down. Impact says, I will finish the job. Dives right in there with the flash. Then on the backside, Perks actually gets ignited and queued by Jensen. That's enough to burn him down.
It was just a really beautiful dive and a bit of disrespect coming out from Caps. When we saw the minimap in that replay, there was no vision or pressure anywhere on the map for G2, and the mid lane tower should have been the expected target. So the fact that Caps stuck around, Team Liquid were very happy to just punish that.
5,000 gold in the lead for Team Liquid, 2-0-4. Smithy's Jarvan, it was the first pick on the blue side. He has been everywhere this game, and truly is leading his team to this advantageous position. Now, of course, I want to take nothing away from the rest of the squad. Jensen is having a phenomenal LeBlanc game, and especially up against Caps, who's been a player that has sort of had Jensen's number this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the scoreline, Caps 0-4-1 right now. He's definitely made some greedy plays, and Jensen has absolutely punished him. Right now, the only thing G2 are waiting for is scaling, but even then, we already talked about it. Impact on the Vladimir, Doublelift on the Kai'Sa. This team knows how to utilize this composition, they know how to team fight, and they're a smart team that can set up for objectives cleanly, as they're doing right now.
Grouping up, challenging the Vision around Baron at 21.5 minutes, pushing Vision deep into G2's jungle. It is being contested though. As you can see, multiple members of G2 pushing forward and using all of their abilities to poke and push TL away.
But I love that our observers highlighted the vision difference, because you can see how far back G2 are pushing.
Oh, no way! Smithy solo kills Caps! 0-5-1. But Smithy made that work. Black Cleaver, as well as the Cinder Hulk, just to dunk him and use the whole combo.
Smithy is popping off right now. Black Cleaver has just been picked up. He feels that he can confidently shut down Cap, and he does so exquisitely.
Team Liquid certainly looking to end the group stage strong here. They are making such a showing 22 minutes into the game, and they're taking down the secondary turret on top side.
Earlier today, the casters were talking about when you watch some teams playing, all of a sudden other regions become fans of teams they might not normally be fans of. Right now, SK Telecom are saying praise Team Liquid. They will be getting second seed. Flash Wolves will be praising G2, hoping they can come back. Because if Team Liquid win this game, Flash Wolves already eliminated, G2 will place third. And of course, Team Liquid will guarantee that fourth seed. So this is the full solo kill.
Yeah, just sitting in the brush, waiting for Caps, knows that there's no flash here, follows up the Valkyrie there with his own ultimate, and finishes the job.
Yeah, clean. Nothing more to say.
Beautifully done, and that's why Team Liquid are just in a phenomenal position. 6,000 gold up now. They continue to apply pressure on G2, and look, for G2, they've still got the ability to scale into this game, but it just doesn't feel like they're going to be given the opportunity. Team Liquid have been starting and ending plays, getting advantages every single time.
The biggest thing for Team Liquid now will be how they play around the Baron, because they'll want to secure that objective. They have a pretty good composition to take it. It's just a matter of whether they will be able to secure it cleanly. They do have a tendency that when they have the lead, Baron is usually a very easy objective for them to take because of how well they set up vision in the enemy jungle. The question is, will they be able to do it against the G2 team that often doesn't stick to the playbook?
And the G2 team, as you pointed out earlier, do have quite a lot of long-range poke abilities at their disposal. Currently, they're fighting in mid, though.
They are indeed. Teleport's coming out. Xmithie's got the Cataclysm available to him. Mickey buys some time with a stopwatch, and Perkz is forced to run for his life. Hemoplate might just be enough. Not going to kill him just yet. Now in the back line, Wonder's already dead. There goes Mickey. Jankos is running for his life, and Xmithie follows the flag and drag with a flash. Manages to find Jankos. He continues to run for his life, as at least there's one kill back for G2 Esports. But Jankos goes down. Now Caps trying to get another. Double Lift cleans it up, and only Perkz remains.
Perkz is the only one left standing, so that means Baron is on the table. Team Liquid are looking to take a victory over G2 here at MSI. It's gonna be delayed, though. No Baron started up.
It looks like they're not going to take the gamble. They don't want to run the risk. They're waiting for the health bars to come back. They're waiting for the teleport from Double Lift. He's going to go back to base, spend his gold, pick up a couple extra items, and they're going to look to secure this big objective.
Rapid fire cannon completed along with the Storm Razor and the Rage Blade. It is too little, it is too late, and the observers giving false hope to all European viewers watching. G2 Esports went from controlling second seed to conceding it by giving away 2 losses to Fongbu, and right now being obliterated by Team Liquid.
So here we can see G2 trying to catch Core JJ out of position, but the Galio, pretty tanky at this point in time. It buys enough time for Xmithie to join the fray, and a beautiful flash dive from Impact onto the backline. Wonder, I don't even think he got, oh, he did ultimate, but he did absolutely nothing with it. He's just lying on the backline, slowly getting killed off. Jankos is trying to deal with Jensen, but the entire Team Liquid squad is just so coordinated in their target focus, and now they have another target.
We're back, and Double Lift is on a rampage. 4-0-1. As we come out of the replay, Xmithie once again, 12 out of his team's 13 kills he's involved in. Impact is now looking for a 1v1 that's become a 1v2. Impact goes into Sanguine Pool. Caps is running for his life. So is Jankos. Impact has turned this around. With Baron and now Xmithie showing up, Caps and Jankos are in trouble. The bottom lane is being sieged and broken. Inhibitor turret is being attacked, while Impact and Xmithie take mid inner.
And with Wonder still dead, 15 seconds left on his death timer, Baron buff at the command of Team Liquid. They can continue pushing into the base.
Oh, this is for the semi-finals. Double Lift will open up G2's base at 25.5 minutes. Caps gets chunked down by the Captain Rain. Impact is pushing into the mid lane as the rest of Team Liquid are dancing between both lanes. Jensen will get a couple extra autos and leaving that Baron empowered cannon minion to do its work. Now all of a sudden the W from Impact will buy some time. He protobelts forward. Impact will not go down. Buys enough time. Jankos is already dead. Finally a stun, and Wonder gets one back. The Hourglass bought so much time for Impact, but there goes Jensen. Manages to get the AoE. I really thought more was going to happen.
Looks like you lost your ability to use words there. Quick shot. Good stun comes out from Wonder, but the damage has already been done from Team Liquid. They broke into the base on the bot side. They haven't slowed down yet.
Double Lift finds Perkz, blows him up. Killer Instinct into a Cathian Rain. The inhibitor is still standing in the bottom lane, and now the focus is the middle. Double Lift step forwards, auto. Those plasma stacks are melting through Mickey's HP bar. Grey Health has already been popped. Small amount of regen, but it simply isn't going to be enough. 27 minutes. 4-0-10 on Xmithie. He's the hero that is starting everything, but Double Lift with 3 items is finishing everything.
Love that Team Liquid didn't back off from that play. They took a step back, they take a minute to reorganize, and then they continue with the aggression, knowing they still have the Baron buff, knowing they can still fight for this inhibitor, and they secure the objective.
All right, let's take another look at this.
We'll take a look
Yeah,
at
we'll
this.
have a look at this right now. As Impact, he's forced to use the Zonyas early on, but it's simply a matter of baiting G2 in as they find that initial kill onto Rek'Sai. This is where we see Corki is forced to go back to base. Team Liquid take a second to readjust themselves, and then they continue with the siege.
Impact's play has got something caught in my throat here as Team Liquid dive in onto Perkz. Double Lift taking that ultimate. Killer instinct indeed, right into the base. Team Liquid want their spot in the knockout stage, and they want to earn it themselves.
Oh man, earlier today, Team Liquid had a valiant game against SK Telecom, and now they are smashing G2 Esports. G2 5-4 coming into this. They lost to Fongbu earlier today, and now it feels all but inevitable with an 11,000 gold deficit that they will be knocked out of that second seed. And what a fashion to do so. G2 is defending now. Inhibitor on the bottom will be the focus of at least 4 members of Team Liquid. Jensen is coming in from the mid lane, and Caps is sitting on the package. So that Valkyrie could be beneficial, but the truth is there are so many squishy members in G2 that if a fight breaks out, I feel like Team Liquid can just kill them before anything else happens.
I mean, just look at Jankos, only just now hitting level 13, and he's going up against level 15 Doublelift, level 16 Jensen, level 16 Impact. Just the level differences alone is enough to melt through G2, let alone the item.
And there's 2 GAs on the side of Team Liquid. The Hourglass sitting inside Impact's hands. Caps is getting a couple autos off, and look, all credit to G2. They're holding on to this inhibitor. The Caps is going to use that package defensively. Try to put down the wave clear. There goes X-Smithy. Here comes Doublelift. His Killer Instinct in. That's the first kill on Perks. Impact will be finishing us up. That's a triple for Double. He's looking for the Quadra. Maybe a Penta. Not going to be enough just yet. His Impact is taken out into the fountain. Caps and Jankos go. It's a 5-on-2. Team Liquid, surely they've done it. That's a dash forward. Here comes the rest of Team Liquid. Caps goes golden. Nexus turret falls. Caps flashes away to safety. Core JJ's going low. He's taken out by Jankos. Jensen gets one in reply. It's not done yet as Caps is trying to get the damage out. The Nexus turret is broken, but with a GA and a Fed Kaiser, Doublelift and Team Liquid advance to the semi-finals, eliminating G2.
What a turnaround for Team Liquid. On the final day of group stages, they show up the biggest. Big performances from all members, but X-Smithy, what an improvement. Absolutely dominating the early game. And then with the draft of Kaisa, Galio, Vladimir, amazing team fight to end out the game. If they win early game with this composition, they are going to steamroll ahead.
4-0-15. He was involved in 19 of the 20 kills that Team Liquid were involved in, even getting a solo kill down on 2 Caps. Exquisite performance from Team Liquid. They executed upon their draft beautifully. And most importantly, Kobe, the Smithy Jensen duo. They found that early lead and they ran away with it.
And of course, the question I have to ask from earlier, earlier today against SKT, Team Liquid just kind of rolled over. They actually didn't do a whole lot. This game, extremely proactive from minute 1, everywhere on the map, and they make opportunities. This is the Team Liquid that has to show up in BO5.
At the last possible second, Trevor, the fire has been lit.
Well, we'll have to see what they can do. For more on how Team Liquid picked up that win, let's leave it to State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much. Quick shot. We'll hear from Doublelift in just a few moments. But first, we have to talk about that victory for Team Liquid. Redemption from last year's MSI when they had control of their own destiny, weren't able to push it forward. This time around, they take it before even having to play a tiebreaker.
Big sigh of relief. Woo! Feels good. And I'm so happy the way they did it, avoiding tiebreaker, avoiding having to play again, going in off a slump of going 0-2 on the day, bouncing back, beating one of the other regions that was top 3 regions, like picking up a win against someone above you in the standings, which they hadn't done yet. All of that makes it feel so much better for North American fans.
And I think a big bounce back performance. They hit it on the cast there. The fact that they fell down against SKT and just looked like they had no proactivity. The changes came in from the coaching staff. They set them up for a brilliant game, but the players ultimately delivered in a massive way.
And one of the questions we had was, which team would bring more baggage from their losses earlier today? And TL rolled over against SKT and then came in with a style and were confident. The moment I saw the Ezreal Tahm Kench and just the fact that they were feeling a little bit defeated, I felt like G2 play best when their chests are puffed out and they're so confident in just how good they are. And I just didn't get that vibe here.
Because let's not forget, this was a European region, a G2 squad that was ready to claim the second spot globally. They've taken down SKT twice, but now the fact that they've dropped games against Fongvu Buffalo 2 in a row and the now Liquid loss makes fans and, analysts going to start questioning the validity of that statement that has been made throughout this tournament.
G2 locked into third now, TL picking up fourth, but I want to reference the draft point because on the side of TL, they've done what we finally asked for. Prioritized a champion for Xmithie that gives him agency in the early game, and he utilizes it to perfection, getting Jensen specifically ahead.
Well, it's what we were saying at the top of the day, the fact that sometimes Caps does blow up in laning phase. And, this was not him just griefing or anything like that. TL played very well. Nice counter gank here to set this up.
At the end of the day, you're watching plays like the First Blood here, and you feel like Xmithie is ahead of the play and his mechanics are on point. You can say that about none of the first 9 games of the tournament for him. But here, with that agency, with, like you say, not just a level 6 jungler, he comes up in a big way.
Yeah, and Jensen as well, saying he'll carry double the other groups. Had a monstrous performance. Just jukes 3 out of 3 skill shots out of him and kills Caps underneath his own turret. And that was kind of the last gasp almost that we saw out of G2. From no point on after that did they feel like they were in control.
And just as a small point, I mentioned no player was looking confident. I thought Caps was. He was trying to make things happen, but it was kind of notable how when I watched G2 domestically, if Caps is getting caught, other people are making the plays because, of course, Xmithie's not in their lane. It didn't feel like that here, so Caps was almost an anomaly in how G2 played.
It's like what you said, like who learned correctly from their mistakes? Okay, no more Hecarim, let's pick J4 for TL. And then for G2, our bot lane died a lot in the mid game. Let's pick the safest thing possible. And that was probably the wrong lesson because now Doublelift has a free laning phase and got a 70 CS lead.
And that was the thing that impressed me, right? It was everywhere on the map. Impact on Vladimir had a good performance, and then their bottom lane popped off. The fact that Doublelift and Core JJ had their standout performance against G2, and just the ability to generate such a huge lane lead. They took the turret with a Rift Herald and were able to rotate around the map, always in the play in that mid-game position. Kai'Sa and Galio are very good at joining these fights, and they utilize them beautifully.
Those are familiar numbers for NA fans domestically when it comes to TL and the bot lane. So it's good to see them generate those same kind of numbers here on the international stage. And I feel like, Mark, midway through that game, we started to see Doublelift kind of fall into his groove. Gets a solo kill here, outplays a skill shot there in a team fight, and a little bit of that confidence starts to creep back in.
Yeah, I mean, that's what, like you said, NA fans are used to seeing. And you could tell that that was not who was on stage 2 days ago. It was not that confident Doublelift. It's been the Doublelift we've seen at International before where he falls onto the back foot. And it took a little bit of time to ramp up in this game. And, maybe it's just item power spikes for Kai'Sa. But later on, he started making really aggressive plays.
I mean, when the jungler gets ahead, like this happened in this game, it just all slid into place, right? It felt like everything that you prepared based on domestic TL was capped off from Xmithie getting so far ahead.
We've been leveraging criticism at both Xmithie and the team for putting him in hard places so far in the tournament, but this 10th and final game of the group stage, MasterCard player of the game for Xmithie through and through.
And let me tell you, as a jungler, if you can sit there and just whack a mid laner to death one-on-one, you feel pretty good. But it was also the cerebral plays coming out, the reads, the predictions, and the ability to catch people out of position. Very well played.
In the same game, he pulled off an EQ flash for First Blood and a prediction on a Corki flash. Like, this is just Xmithie playing at the highest level. He went the Electrocute, and then we saw the Cinderhawk. That seems a little bit scattered, but it allowed him to do a bit of everything. And the moment he got those early kills, he said, I want to be a tank, start turret diving, and the good times will roll.
You usually need to commit your goal to one thing. I want to one-shot people. I want to be a tank. He got so ahead, he could commit to both and solo out the mid laner and be the front liner.
With our knockout stages locked in 1 through 4, I want to kind of take stock of where the teams are because I think, interestingly enough, in contrast to the way we've been talking about, in particular, G2 and TL this entire week, they're only 1 game apart in the standings now. And so I think, for so long we've been down on TL and in a sense for good reason. But here they are now making their way out of groups on their own volition and sitting only 1 game behind G2.
I mean, it was one of those things where the front page of Reddit a day ago was like literally every other top team's opinions on why TL is bad. And then suddenly, it's like, okay, well, they beat a top team. They're clearly the 4th best team at this tournament now. And it's like, why was it so negative and so positive for some of these other regions when they aren't that far behind, it feels like.
And look, a large portion of it is because you haven't been able to get it done against the teams better than you. That's what North American fans are waiting for, that huge upswing. But I think what they're leaving behind is that consistency factor, the ability to perform, and the fact that these guys are veterans, and I keep saying it, I think they have ramped into the tournament, and they haven't been given enough credit for that. So I don't think this is the best TL we've seen. I think that, they're going to continue to build towards the best of 5.
And the final small point is like the manner of the victories, with innovation and things like that.
Although that was a stomp.
Agreed. This was a great game. I just mean that G2 kind of beggars belief and kind of redefines the game when they're fully on board. In their losses, TL have also kind of rolled over in some games, but you see games like this and you just kind of look back and say, what a great job done by TL.
Team Liquid lock a knockout spot. Shox is standing by to hear from the victorious ADC.
Thank you very much, Dash. I'm here with Doublelift after Team Liquid does it. They advance to the knockout round, and Doublelift after so many years. What does it mean to you to make it to the knockout round of MSI and of an international tournament?
Well, ignoring the fact that we just kind of squeaked by, like by one game, I mean, it feels amazing. I don't know what to say. Like everything that I did and everyone that I interacted with my whole career, like all the things that happened, it led to this. So I just feel really grateful. I don't know, the first thing that I thought about was just like, wow, all that time I spent on CLG and I couldn't do it. Like all that time I spent on TSM and I couldn't do it. All that time I spent like raging at my teammates on Team Liquid and like we didn't do it. And now we finally did it and it feels worth it. So I feel peaceful right now. I feel really, really happy, but also really peaceful.
I mean, absolutely. Huge congratulations. You talk about all these things have led up to this, the being angry at your team when it didn't work out. And you told me even yesterday, it's about that decisiveness. I don't know where it is. It was all in this game. So what happened? What clicked? And how did it all come together right in time?
Well, I think, we had like a really weird journey throughout groups where we thought like, oh, wow, we need to up the aggression to the level of like IG and G2 and stuff, because that's how teams are winning. And we thought like we need to basically like play their champs, but not like their style, just kind of play sort of loosely in a resemblance of them. But then after we got smashed by SKT, we were like, that doesn't work. Like we still have to do like Team Liquid plays, I guess, like the stuff that we've been practicing, even if I would say like some of the plays that SKT is looking for and IG is looking for is stuff we would never realize. And so trying to like be a crappy imitation of that is kind of the wrong way. So we went for, like Team Liquid style, which is buff invade, heavy dragon control, and really just choking out their mid laner because Jensen's really good. So I think, I don't know, in the middle of that game, I was like, oh my God, Jensen's popping off. Like, I need to stay calm because if I throw this game, I'm going to be really, really depressed for the rest of my life. So I was like, yeah, it was just a really good game from us.
Yeah, it was an insanely good game. Tell me, does it feel just a little bit sweeter because it was NA versus EU?
Yeah, definitely. I don't think it could have been any more perfect. Like, NA versus EU, it's been a while since I've won against EU. So that feels amazing.
It's absolutely fantastic. Is there anything you want to say to anyone of your choice? Of course, your fans that have been supporting you for so long, but also maybe your teammates and everyone in the Team Liquid camp.
Yeah, just like I want to thank everyone that I've ever talked to, and everyone that I ever like struggled with as a teammate and as a player, and everyone that like kind of stuck with me through my failures as a person, as a player, and all the fans who the same thing. Like how disappointing for 7 years I can't do something. It's really, really easy, but I finally did it, so thank you guys, and hopefully we'll crush it in the knockout stage. Yeah.
I mean, I do want to follow up because we need to get our feet a bit back to earth. Now, you got this, but you owe it to everyone to step it up even more in those knockout phases because, it was an up and down group phase. So, what's next up on the dockets? You do have a couple of days. You said in the beginning, we're going to win. How much has that wavered? How are you going into those knockouts?
I think there seems to be a huge, to the outsider, there seems to be a huge gap between us and the rest of the teams because our score sucks. We're like 4-6. But in reality, it's not true. We just have like some mental stuff going on with our team. But really, I think our team is really good. And I know just like being realistic, we have to step up to win in the next rounds. But when we get going, like we really do get going, I think the problem is that. It's getting going. Our team has a really slow start. So I think we're just working on that, and we will level up for knockout stage. We have to.
Okay. Fantastic. Looking forward to it. Congratulations, Peter. Team Liquid makes it to the knockout phase of MSI after a fantastic game, but we have more left to come. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Flash Wolves versus Fang Fu Buffalo. Don't go anywhere.
Oh,
Dangerous.
that's a trade back and forth. First blood picked up by Xmitty in the 2v2.
The way they have in the mid lane and bot.
Well, Caps is dead.
As Wonder's now the target.
Oh, take a look at that. Flash for flash. Wonder just gets dunked, shut down. It's going to
Oh!
Jensen. Gets the solo kill onto Caps. Yankos finds one in reply. Oh, man, Yankos is already gone. Xmitty's found him. Ignite is ticking down. Here comes Impact. Chronobelt forward. That should be enough to take out Caps. The pop goes down. Impact gets him. Vanguard's edge by some time as Wonder's forced to run for his life. Now Xmitty gets out and Perks goes down as well. Oh, no ways. Xmitty solo kills Caps. Oh, we're back and Doublelift is on a rampage. 4-0-1. It's not done yet as Caps is trying to get the damage out. The Nexus turret is broken, but with a GA and a Fed Kai'Sa, Doublelift and Team Liquid advance to the semi-finals. back to the final day of groups as we prepare for our next match. It's the Flash Wolves going up against Phong Vu Buffalo. We're straight into the Draft Time Quick Shot, joined by Kobe and Vedius for this matchup that is all about bragging rights. VCS or LMS, who will take 5th place?
We heard some really big cheers from the crowd earlier today as the Phong Vu Buffalo picked up another win, and they're looking to continue those cheers.
And the last time that these two teams met, it was a very strong start for the Phong Vu Buffalo squad. Unfortunately, they could not convert it into a win. But already, early on in this draft, while the bans look like very conventional, very meta stuff, we're already seeing a bit of difference down towards the bot lane with a Thresh locked in for Xiaoxi.
Yeah, and actually, you know, Silas getting through, Rise getting through as well. There are quite a few options definitely left up for power picks on the backside.
We'll see what Xiaoxi's going to end up doing on this Thresh. I'm taking a quick look through his games played this year, and it's not too many. 7 games. It is his 3rd most played, 71% win ratio. And I want to know whether or not this ends up being one of those happy games that we've heard so much about from Invictus, because obviously both teams eliminated from playoff contention. But the rivalry between the VCS and the LMS, not one that we've spoken a lot about because it's one of the newer, more emerging storylines with Flash Wolves' struggles at this tournament.
I really enjoy watching.
Woo!
Never mind! Forget Thresh! Let's talk about Evelyn.
And Kalista as well. Flash was going full aggression this time around.
Evelyn, the assassin from the jungle here. Full AP builds are what you are expecting. You are also expecting very farm heavy in the early game, right? You have to get to level 6 before you can go invisible and start finding people out, but then it's all about the charms. It's very difficult to play it into Morgana though. Morgana Black Shield is one of the biggest deterrents. As soon as the charm goes up, you just get the Black Shield on your carry.
Yeah, we'll see how Boogie can navigate around that. I think it's also very dangerous to blind pick an Evelyn, considering how weak she is in the early game. So I wouldn't be surprised for Flash Wolves to now ban out some of the strong early game junglers like Lee Sin, maybe consider taking the Jarvan off the board. Depends how strong you consider Jarvan to be in the early game. Maybe an Olaf as well.
Yeah, Evelyn's also very predictable. Always start on the red side. You want to clear out the AoE camps. Raptors and Krugs are very easy for her to do. And she wants to get as much experience churning as quickly as possible. So it's most likely going to be fairly easy to track in the early game, then very difficult when she becomes invisible.
Well, let's see what Boogie can end up doing on this pick. Hecarim has been banned away. Radha will lose access to his Orianna. That has been one of the emerging picks here in the MSI group stage event. And the last ban from Phong Vu Buffalo, targeted towards Hanabi. They're getting rid of that Gangplank as well. So potentially another jungle pick. And then we see a little bit more information here on whether Meliodas wants to lock in his jungler, or if we find out what the next solo lane is going to be, Vedius.
Well, to me, this suggests that Phong Vu Buffalo might be looking to lock in their jungler right now, make sure that they can save that Silas for the counter pick later on. Given that Jarvan has been let through the entire draft, no real surprise that Phong Vu will go that direction. Surprised that Rise has made it all the way through the draft, considering how strong it is.
Flash Wolves are going full playmaking. Yeah, they're going full YouTube highlight here. Thresh Kalista on the bottom side. One of the bottom lanes that has the most playmaking available.
Woo! Okay.
For the top side. Talon could even go top if he wanted.
Why do you sound depressed, Kobe?
I don't need to.
I'm so excited for this. The double assassin in Evelyn and the Talon. You also have... Wait, where are your knockups coming to? I guess the Kalista ultimate is going to be your main one.
And Thresh is going to help you out as well.
Yeah.
But Vedius, what do you make of this team composition?
It doesn't matter. It's really awesome.
This is the kill people team composition.
This is mine and Ender's solo queue team composition. This is what we love to play. Now gotta go hard and fast.
Well, it's all coming together, right? They draft the Evelyn early to allow for double AD solo laners. You have to have that AP threat from the jungle. And it actually really does set up Evelyn as the only AP threat, which feels so good as the Evelyn, because your whole objective is to 100% to zero people.
Well, the question is, will Boogie actually find the opportunities? We got a very traditional, very MSI draft on the side of Phong Vu Buffalo, and a very happy, very flashful celebration draft. And it's going to be up to them to make it work.
Yeah, serious face on the Phong Vu Buffalo side. Very happy face on the Flash Wolves.
And I'm looking at this draft, and expectations are you're going to see that Talon moving around the map a lot. Don't be surprised to see those mobility boots.
Really?
The Tiamat. He's going to wave clear, he's going to leave, and he's going to be looking to stabby everyone.
Stabby everyone, and hopefully have an Evelyn to back him up as well. Yasuo, Evelyn, Talon for the penultimate game in the MSI group stages. Yeah, as we've mentioned, these two teams are eliminated from the semifinals and the playoff BO5s. This is for bragging rights. The Vietnamese VCS Phong Buffalo taking on the LMS and Flash Wolves.
Let me remind everyone that Hanabi is a Yasuo one-trick.
Right, one trick Hanabi Yasuo. Let's see what he can do. Conqueror Yasuo in the top lane. Double electrocutes for Boogie and Rather. Take a look down at the rest of the lane. And not seeing any huge surprises yet, but definitely want to see the early game decision making and what this Evelyn does and whether or not Phong Buffalo can shut her down.
So I know Kobe is very familiar with Evelyn, so before we get to that, I want to quickly talk about the top lane matchup, because Yasuo used to be a big counter pick over in Europe as an answer to the Aurelia. The wind wall can be used to block both her E, the primary stun, and it can be used to block her ultimate. He also outscales her in a side lane later on, because he's going to primarily building a lot of crit, and that shielding actually helps him with a lot of his trades during the early laning phase as well. So I actually favor Hanabi in the 1v1. He just has to be very careful of Meliodas ganks if he decides to focus that lane.
And that's the tricky thing. Jarvan should have the priority over ganks early on in this game. So it's up to Meliodas on the side of the Phong Buffalo to make sure that his solo lanes do have a good start.
So let's talk more a little bit about this Evelyn, Kobe, because I'm not an Evelyn expert, and all I hear is Ender complain about the champion. So I'd love to...
Sounds like Ender's not an expert on Evelyn either. Because Evelyn, I think, is not one of the problem champions in the game right now. Definitely does have weaknesses that you can exploit. It can be super annoying, though, so I can see why a lot of people do complain about it. But as you can see right now, he's starting with no leash on the Raptor camp. With the Talisman start, you get so much HP back from tagging multiple monster camps. That's how I was talking about her always starting on the red side and churning through the high experience camps on that side. Going to transition down through the red into the Krugs afterwards. That means your top side is left vulnerable. And with a Yasuo Aurelia, very kind of volatile matchup up there, it means that Meliodas does have a good opportunity to make something happen.
Would you like to see Boogie, gank a specific lane once he gets set up? And when do you expect that to happen?
Evelyn works best with other forms of CC to keep them in place during your charm kind of charge, where it fills up. So Yasuo is actually quite a good one because he does have the knockup, and Aurelia is a melee champion. And
I mean, while that's
really
true,
gonna look mid lane though.
Let's take a look. Rather's just gonna rake the mid lane. Meliodas shows his presence. Remember, split map, so Meliodas steals away the blue buff. Boogie's gonna get support from Xiaoxi as well as Betty, and should be able to secure the blue, and does so with the smite.
And I'd say bottom lane's definitely fairly difficult because of the Morgana Black Shield that we kind of went over earlier. But, if Xiaoxi can get both of them in a flay, or you can keep them guessing on which target you're going for, and you can still make it happen.
So while I do agree, CC is one of the best things to help utilize Evelyn early on. I also just think tons of damage is another way to utilize. And the thing about Talon is once he hits level 6, once Evelyn hits level 6, they have a lot of bursts together. So I'm expecting these two to be like a roaming duo death squad, because remember, Evelyn becomes camouflaged, which means that she can only be seen in a certain radius. And for Talon, he can pop out of nowhere because he can dip, dive, and jump and parkour over all these walls.
Talon is actually one of the most annoying solo laners for the enemy to get ahead as a jungler, because he just comes over your walls. Here we go, the chain hits!
All right, Pallet's going to use that Black Shield, flashes away to safety. Boogie's managed to come in as well. Dashes forward, throws out a couple of hate spikes, and a couple of summoner spells blown. It is Pallet that uses flash and heal. Xiaoxi only spends the ignite. Yeah,
that Morgana definitely vulnerable now, and topside knows that both junglers show bottom, so they are free for the 1v1.
Hanabi right now still even CS. I'm waiting to see how that plays out.
Ooh,
as Rather will use that Assassin's Path, hops over the wall. See whether or not he can spot anyone out. Good vision toggle there by the observers, just highlighting what the players can see, and obviously rather being spotted out. Means he's not going to find a target yet. He's also not level 6, so he can't, blow everyone out just yet.
Yeah, Talon needs to farm a little bit. You want to be able to get your Tiamat so you can shove the wave really quickly along with your W. Then, in addition to mobility boats and boots and lethality coming in, that's when you really start seeing the super high value roams around the map.
And I will be honest, I've not really seen the Sylas versus Talon matchup, so I don't normally know how that goes in the 1v1. What I can say for sure, though, is Talon, the moment he completes that Tiamat, what he often does is rake the wave and then pop the Tiamat, and then he doesn't really look for the 1v1 in mid. He usually looks for the side lane opportunities anyway.
Swing and a miss.
Yep, most matchups go the same way. I had to say, the only thing he has to keep in mind is the heal from the Kingmaker for Null. That can catch you by surprise. So the Ignite, very important on when you're going for your all-in.
And we'll see what he can do. I mean, Null already has a ton of damage in his kit built in. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do with a Shadow Assault as well. A couple of knockups on his side of the map as well. So there's a few very powerful ultimates that he can steal. And definitely a different flavor of ultimates than we've been seeing for the rest of the tournament. 5 minutes in, it is an even gold game. Pretty much even CS across the board. Small advantages top and bottom, but nothing really significant to speak of. And Boogie at level 4 will be in range to help out rather. Waiting in the wings. Gonna throw out that allure, starts to charge it up. Hate spikes coming out, teleport now being channeled, I believe, from Zeros. Boogie's running for his life, flashes over the wall. Zeros, does he decide to chase? The answer is no. Holds on to that flash, but teleport's secured in favor of Flash Wolves.
So yeah, Flash Wolves can be pretty happy with how that trade worked out. Considering Evelyn, early levels, is able to force this level of pressure, is definitely an advantage that they want to find themselves in, as we see Big Cora being pushed back in the 2 versus 2. Hail of Blades Callista coming out very strong in these early skirmishes.
Yeah, and Evelyn definitely has to be worried with the flash blown and no level 6 is a super vulnerable target. In mid lane, though,
oh, that's a lot of damage. Rather's going to escape for now. Manages to make it out with his own Shadow Assault. And we saw that trade, by the way, Betty. Undefeated on Callista this year, 6-0. Really showing his proficiency on the champion in that bottom lane.
I just can't get over how many swords there were. Just the Talon ultimate plus the Talon W, and then North stealing it. Ah, so cool. Anyway, sorry. I love mid lane matchups like this because I rarely get to commentate them and I rarely get to see them. So seeing the back and forth and the cool interactions that you get is a really fun experience for me. So right now, Null, he has the slight advantage, forcing Rather to go back. He hasn't been able to pick up his Tiamat just yet, sitting on the 3 long swords. And one of the big things you have to be very careful of when training against a Talon is the 3-hit passive. Is he's able to land 3 of your abilities. He applies a bleed, which does a surprising amount of damage for those unaware. But the great thing about a Sylas is he has the shield and the heal to help mitigate a lot of that extra burn damage that can follow up a short trade.
Meanwhile, on the top side, Hanabi feeling very good about his alone time here up there with Zeros, pushing in the wave once again. And I would still say that is a really prime target for when Boogie hits level 6 to go gank. Zeros has got the early Ninja Tabby investing in the armor, and Evelyn, it's actually very easy to go up there and charm a melee champion that's in combat with another melee champion. Even though Aurelia can jump around to minions, oftentimes you don't have to proc your charm with the Q.
Yeah.
That's a fallacy that we see a lot of early Evelyn players do. You can just go up with the E and proc it most of the time. But casual first blood in the bottom side, quick shot.
Well, there we go. Looked like Xiaoxi managed to catch the death sentence, if I read that correctly. He had no flash, remember? Yep. From an earlier gank, and that big CS advantage that Hanabi had built up has been equalized by Zeros. Remember, Zeros teleported to the mid lane. Hopefully we'll catch a replay of that as Boogie is actually waiting just outside of vision. Meliodas is in range. Look at all the swords, Vedius! All of a sudden, though, it's Rather that's running for his life. Meliodas gets the first kill on the board for Fengbu Buffalo. Boogie can't do a whole lot as the Allure and the Hate Spikes are putting some damage down. But Meliodas just stands toe-to-toe. There's another engage. Xiaoxi with the flash death sentence will connect onto Big Coro, and Betty gets his second.
So we'll get to the bot lane play in a second because I've got to praise Null for his use of the ultimate to steal away the Eve ultimate to then get out of what should have been an execution going in the favor of Flash Wolves. Beautiful stuff from the Sylas there to get out of what should have been a dangerous play.
And super clean kills on the bottom side from Betty and Xiaoxi. They are actually destroying this matchup.
Absolutely obliterating Palette and Big Coro. CS advantage, 2 kills advantage as well. And we catch a quick glimpse of Hanabi. So this is going to be a replay of the bottom kills first.
Yeah, we need to do them justice. We haven't been catching a lot of these kills from the bottom side. The Kalista and the Thresh, again, it's a hook right out of the brush. So the Black Shield's not going to do anything to save your life.
And I think that the expectations were that this Flash Wolves duo had gone back to base, and that means that, again, the Varus was sticking around, thought he could catch the wave, but surprise, Flash Wolves bot lane still haven't gone back to base. They commit a flash, they find themselves another kill, and they're in a prime position to carry from the bot side.
Yeah, Kalista Thresh with Flash and the ultimate can traverse the entire screen to chase you down. Really nice job there by Xiaoxi especially.
All right, here comes Boogie once again. Shadow Assault is already used. Boogie's got the Caress if he needs to, holding on to it for a few seconds longer. Hate Spike being used, and Boogie doesn't commit the ultimate.
Yeah, this is kind of the point I was talking about why you really like CC in the lane you're ganking. He keeps on charming and then instantly proccing it just for the slow. They don't really have enough time to stick around and wait for it to fully converge there. So continually not getting those kills on the mid lane. Bottom lane might be a different story though.
Okay, Flash is available for Pallet, but Big Koro does not have his up and available. Betty and Xiaoxi making their way forward. Betty, no ultimate up. Xiaoxi will not step further forward. I'm looking at the minimap. Can't quite see where Boogie's waiting. I think
Evelyn
just
gone.
outside of vision. We're still looking from Fengvu Buffalo's point of view. And there we go, observers highlighting where Boogie's waiting.
But this is also the invisible pressure that Evelyn provides. As a lane that does have any kind of pressure, you always have to be so careful when trying to push up these waves because it is difficult to spot out where this Evelyn is and what direction she could come from.
Especially if you've already died 2 times in 2v2 in the lane. Definitely going to give you a little bit more pause for caution. On the top side as well, Talon flipping around the jungle. Going to try and exert some pressure himself. Does have the Tiamat now, so go shove the wave as quickly as possible, then look for side lane plays.
Right, Tiamat for Rather. Null's got himself the Proto Belt. Bilgewater Cutlass is picked up for both of the bot laners. Hanabi on the Zeal versus the Phage of Zera. So working our way towards those first big items for most players in the game. And of course, Meliodas 1-0 on that job, and he's got the Cinderhulk completed.
Now, a big thing for PvP to keep in mind, and when you're playing against things like Talon, trying to ward up the river, because even though Talon does go over these walls, oftentimes it'll pass through one of these areas. Here we go, mid though, again.
All right, trade of ultimates for
Get the
now.
charm this time!
Easily run down. So much damage from that Shadow Assault from Rather.
See, who needs CC when you just have burst damage, Kobe?
He got the CC that time.
It doesn't matter. That would have been a kill. Evelyn didn't even use her ultimate. That's why she could be looking for a play bot, but it's in fact Meliodas who is here first. He's hanging around, providing some assistance for Big Koro and Pallet.
Wow, Flash Wolves find themselves 1,000 gold up for now. Boogie's Evelyn is starting to get more involved. Xiaoxi and Betty, they've single-handedly won this lane, plus 20 CS. Not entirely fair, Boogie did gank earlier, but they've taken over from the advantageous Summoner spell position. Meliodas has got Cataclysm up. There goes Pallet, goes in with the Soul Shackles. Betty uses the clock for now. Xiaoxi buys some time before Rather arrives. Teleport completes from Hanabi, but Fengvu Buffalo get 2, and Vietnam erupts.
Yeah, the Buffalo have had enough of the shenanigans on the bottom side. They spin the teleport. Meliodas is on the control ward there for the counter gank as well, and they get 2 kills back.
Where is the Evelyn, though? She hasn't been spotted just yet. And here she comes, 3v4.
All right, take a look at this. The last caress is available. That's a very good Vanguard's Edge. Gonna disarm so many members of the Flash Wolves. Sliding and dashing across Zeros. Blade surges all the way in. Manages to find the stun as well before he's taken down. It's 3 more kills for the Fengvu Buffalo.
Beautiful dive from the Buffaloes as they find themselves another 3 kills. A delayed ace comes out from the squad as Flash Wolves are left without an answer.
Yeah, Flash Wolves trying to dig themselves out of a deficit on the bottom side. They had just lost their strongest members, Kalista and Thresh, down, and they try and defend and go for an offensive play in the 3v5 situation at the turret.
Xiaoxi, what are you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Stepping forward. Not going to get turned on just yet. I'm looking at the minimap. Some support coming up from Betty. But Xiaoxi, like, he's playing so emboldened that Fengvu Buffalo have backed away, maybe expecting more members to approach.
Bold play is what I want to see today, Quick Shot. These 2 teams going right for the jugular.
All right. Every time. The observers, they keep trolling me. I keep thinking something's going to happen, but maybe
Something
it will
is going to happen. Xiaoxi's looking for it.
All right, Zeros is going to try to wave clear here with that Q. And Xiaoxi's still lingering. Come on, use the lantern. pull somebody up and go for the engage. Not going to happen yet. We're going to catch a replay of that bottom lane.
So we can see here, Betty, he thinks that he's in a comfortable 2 versus 2 situation. Surprise, Meliodas comes in. They push past the minion wave. A perfect teleport situation for Zeros means that the Flash Wolves duo can be immediately eliminated. Now, the 3-man of Flash Wolves then join the fight, thinking they can hold the tower.
Yeah, they're going to come around here. Boogie on the outside. In the meantime, Rather jumps over the wall. Hanabi actually flashes to try and get an AoE knock up there on multiple members, doesn't get it, and then Zeros goes on the dive with the Aurelia, picks off the kill here, just outside of the tower aggro there, gets one more shot, is taken down, and Fongbu Buffalo finished that one up.
Beautiful use of the marks that he had applied with his ultimate earlier to then dive underneath the tower and find that kill onto Rather. Just excellent execution of the Aurelia.
And super important that with the tower plates secured, Fongbu Buffalo have turned the gold deficit into a lead. They were down 1k, now they are up 1,000 gold. Yalua comes out from Boogie. Meliodas is going to be able to escape for now. Rift Herald has been interrupted and may be donated here to the Flash Wolves. It's a re-engage. Rift Herald is secured by Meliodas, but he cannot pick up the eye just yet.
Ooh, I love this game. Defend the Rift Herald eye.
Well, it doesn't look like Flash Wolves are going to commit just yet. The eye is still sitting. It will time out shortly. Chelsea finds himself one. He's already got a kill onto Meliodas. Flash Wolves are grouped up. They've got a second, as well as one back for Fongbu Buffalo. Boogie is running for his life as here comes Big Koro. The Allure by some piercing arrow secures a kill for Big Koro.
Big Koro with the big skill shot finds the kill on Evelyn after the ult is burned to get out of danger, and as his reward, picks up the Eye of the Rift Herald. All according to plan, Vedia.
Fongbu Buffalo win the game of back and forth as Flash Wolves are forced to back off, and Big Koro only continues to get stronger. What was an abysmal laning phase is now a 3-1 for Varus, primed and ready to carry for the Fongbu Buffalo.
Got himself that Blade of the Ruined King, and here's a replay of what was effectively protect or attack the Rift Herald Eye.
So here we see the binding actually landing onto Betty, but while the thing is you can see a really good flay interrupt onto Meliodas, so he ends up getting burst down first. But Big Koro sitting on the back line looks very safe, immediately gets the black shield. So then Flash Rolls are kind of grouped up into this small narrow choke point, allowing Big Koro to get all this damage down onto Boogie, where he's then able to find that beautiful snipe.
Just so nice there, right through the small corridor. Rift Herald's activated in the mid lane, and Fongbu Buffalo want to finish this turret off.
All right, Tower First Blood is available and should go down with the boop here from the Rift Herald, picked up in favor of Fongbu Buffalo. Meliodas clears out the chicken camp just south of the mid lane, and Zeros is now moving up top. A couple of members of PvP are putting pressure onto that second charge up by the Rift Herald, and as it stands, Fongbu back away. Extend the gold lead to 2,000. Big item spikes have come in for almost everybody. Static Shiv up top into Triforce, and it's really just Rather that's waiting to complete a few components. And now Zeros will get some support. There's no minions for this dive.
Yeah, and a controller does see the rest of the members of Fongbu Buffalo leave the jungle, so he should feel fairly secure in continuing to defend it. Zeros is going to have to worry about the 2v1 here, though. Boogie, Invisible Evelyn in his lane.
Let's take a look what Zeros can do. Flash not available to him. Vanguard's edge buys some time. He's got so much damage, but not going to be enough to get through Boogie. In 17.5 minutes, Flash Wolves get their 7th kill of the game. Still staying within touching distance, and of course, you know, both of these teams, they're putting on a show for us, which is great, but it is their last games of MSI 2019.
This is exactly what Flash Wolves want to be doing with their composition, roaming around the map, looking for these picks, trying to avoid these big 5v5s where the big area effect abilities that Fongbu Buffalo's comp does have, things like the Jarvan ultimate, Aurelia ultimate, the Varus ultimate, and the Morgana ultimate, like, assassins don't want to be enclosed in a small space. They want to have the freedom to utilize their mobility and pick targets off.
Claustrophobic assassins don't like to get boxed in.
No, they don't like the small spaces.
No, definitely not. And Rather's got himself the Duskblade of Drakthar, so definitely wants to try, you know, combo up with the likes of either Hanabi or Boogie, find the opportunities to assassinate people.
Do like those combos, though. Big AoE knockup possible here. You know, we talked about the Callista and Thresh being able to work so well with Hanabi. Bottom side, it's actually going to be the Evelyn that wants to work with Rather once again.
All right, now Null used the box a few seconds ago. Not going to get chased just yet. Vision is in favor of PvP as the Mountain Drake is now secured. That's the second mountain of the game at 19 minutes. Hugely important if this game continues to play out. And Phong Vu now putting some pressure into the jungle of Flash Wolves. Red buff will get secured by Boogie. I think he smited that one away as Meliodas throws the flag and drag down. Second tower secured in favor of PvP. Correction, in favor of Flash Wolves. They will get their second tower for PvP now.
Hanabi going to continue pushing up here on the top side. Static Shiv going to allow him to take down the minions very quickly and start to attack the turret. Looks like he's drawing several members up there. And a roam from Xiaoxi and Boogie at the same time. Maybe they make a play, try and pick somebody in the enemy jungle.
All right, now Betsy's not with the team. He's stuck in the middle lane for now. Blast Cone has been used by Flash Wolves, and we're in quite a chaotic phase of the game as both teams kind of concede each half of the map. Knock down one tower apiece. Baron is coming up, and we'll start to see which team is going to contest either to push the lanes out or start setting up for those next objectives.
Well, I think it's Flash Wolves that kind of have to play on the opposite side of where Phong Vu Buffalo look to play, because the reality is they are stronger in the 5 versus 5, so when they're setting up for an objective, chances are they will have a numbers advantage. So it's better for Flash Wolves to actually kind of create a pit of darkness, then go to the opposite side of the map, and then if Phong Vu try to answer, then you can catch them either in the rotation or are isolated in a single lane.
Yeah, I think the thing that Phong Vu Buffalo are most worried about is vision, because even Flash Wolves can definitely win AoE teamfights themselves. Sterk's Gage completed on the Yasuo now. They have the possibility, if they get flanks back onto Big Koro and they kill the key member there, even with a Morgana shield, if you take down the Varus, they can definitely, get in and get out very quickly.
The thing that Flash Wolves have to take into consideration is the stopwatch that's sitting on top of Big Core right now. There's also another one on top of Meliodas, and it's something that I know a lot of players in my solo queue games forget about, because I forget about it all the time, where you think you've gotten onto the carry, then they pop that stopwatch, and it just helps them buy a lot of time and swing a team fight.
That's Captain Flower's favorite thing to remind everyone. Always press tab and check for stopwatches. There's also a Zonios on the mid laner, by the way.
Well, let's see if it's going to help out. Zeros forced to flash away. This was the 2v1 earlier. Again, a lot of damage onto Boogie. But Boogie and Hanabi easily able to pick up the kill. It is at the expense of the top tower. There might be a reply, though, because look mid lane as Flash Wolves are pushing.
Yep, Flash Wolves have priority in mid and bottom lane right now. Now we've got another assassination.
All right, let's take a look. What can Null do? Shadow Assault has already been used. Null hasn't used the hijack just yet. He's going to be able to steal it away, but the mid tower has fallen. The rest of PvP, they're pushing the top lane. They've got 2 towers in the top in exchange for both outer turrets from PvP.
Now, I like the response from Phong Vu Buffalo. We talked very much about what we're seeing right now, where Phong Vu kind of group up as a small unit, and then they look to push for objectives, whereas Flash Wolves are kind of split up across the map. But now that Phong Vu actually have control of the top side, they're immediately committing towards the Baron.
And remember, double Mountain Drake as well as Blade of the Ruined King and this Trinity Force on Xerxes Irelia. Baron is going low. It's below a third hit points. Null is going to get jumped on by Hanabi. Xerxes turns around. Meliodas is peeled and fought. Cataclysm goes down. Betsy throws out the ultimate, trying to look for a re-engage. The target is going to be in the mid lane. Null is staying alive. He uses that hourglass that Kobe talked about. Now Meliodas is the target. Hanabi decides to re-engage. Null is zoned away. So is Zeros. Pallet is down. Flash Wolves have got themselves a double kill. They've stopped the Baron and they're in control.
Flash Wolves picked the flashy composition and they pulled it off. Hanabi just goes straight in to draw aggro. Really good ultimate combination out of the Kalista ultimate. They found another kill. Boogie gets the shutdown and Big Coral is down.
Flash Wolves with 11 kills reclaim control of the game, and they turn to look to burn the Baron.
And Assassins like open spaces. They had room to be mobile, and the decision-making in that moment was just beautiful from the Flash Wolves. You talked about it, Kobe. The flank coming in from Hanabi to split up Nor from the rest of his team allowed Xiaoxi to then go on the offensive rather than be on the retreat and convert it into a big win. Nor just barely unable to interrupt the backs. All 5 members of Flash Wolves walk away with the Baron.
All right, let's go over this once again. As you're talking about, Hanabi here on the top side, he knows he just wants to make them stop Baron to buy time for the rest of his team. So he goes on Null. That allows Xiaoxi to go in on the Thresh. He gets pulled out after baiting the Black Shield, after baiting the Jarvan to go in on him, and then re-emerges to the top side to help Hanabi with the stun. Then everybody goes in onto Betty with the flash, and that allows the Assassins to strike.
And just look at how split apart Fongfu Buffalo was. Big Core initially had a huge front line that he could stand behind, but the moment that the flank came through from Hanabi, everyone started splitting apart. Zeros went up towards the top lane. The Morgana from Pallet flashed in on top of Betty, and Big Core is just standing there going like, uh-oh, uh-oh, everyone with swords is looking at my face. All I can do is run away.
Well, he wasn't able to run very far. Got shut down on the inner turret, and we saw the Infernal Drake picked up by Flash Wolf. So 3,000 gold lead. They've got more damage, and Captain Flowers, you'd be proud. I pressed tab, and I've seen there are no more stopwatches on the Fongfu Buffalo side. Meliodas, Big Core, and Pallet all broken on their watches. Only the Hourglass for Null, whereas Hanabi's picked one up. Flash Wolves, they're on the siege, using that Baron empowered minions to push down this inner turret. And Boogie, he's stepping way forward, looking for targets, Kobe.
Yeah, Evelyn loves fishing, especially at this stage in the game.
Yeah.
Starting to stack up the needlessly large rods. You're just looking for somebody to chunk.
And this is the point in the game where Evelyn is probably her most obnoxious. She doesn't really need to land the charm anymore. As long as she gets on top of your face and gets you to that execution point, you will be obliterated.
Well, that seems to be the case. Zeros, by the way, no teleport available, and he's pushing the top lane. If you look at the minimap, 5 members of Flash Wolves pushing into 2 lanes. Baron empowered minions going to be ushered in here. 5 Flash Wolves, 5 members will take down the tower. Zeros will finish his recall shortly. Still a minute and a bit of this Baron as Shoutzy gets jumped on. Hasn't thrown down the box just yet. Instead, will get pulled back by the Fates Call. Gets spat back out. Null is already down. The box goes down for any sort of retreat. Hanabi takes down Pallet, and he's not done yet. All the way forward. Gets out of range of the Vanguard's edge. Just absolutely whiffs. Finds no targets at all. Flash Wolves will turn their attentions to the inhibitor, and they might not be done yet. With 30-second death timers, they might be pushing for the win.
Flash Wolves are feeling confident. They've still got the Baron buff out, but only a few ultimates remain. They've decided that they don't want to take the gamble. They're just going to back off, and Boogie with the invisible laugh spam taunt Zeros without him even knowing.
I actually wish we had more pro games like this, where they're just super tryharding with more assassin, more solo queue oriented champions here. They're just going for the big plays. They're finding the big plays, and they're finding success. Baron empowered push here for the Flash Wolves. Bear's ultimate is going to hit the Yasuo and start to chain, but Death Sentence landed at the same time. They all converge onto Null. Everybody pulls back here, and they're able to get that first kill.
Unfortunately for Fongfu Buffalo, they started the fight without Zeros there. That extra bit of damage from Aurelia that could potentially threaten the backline was unavailable, and that meant that by getting that early kill advantage, Flash Wolves felt more than happy to continue pushing into the enemy base and securing an inhibitor.
And of course, for Flash Wolves, it's a statement final game. For a team that has made playoffs at MSI every year they have attended, this is the first time they failed to do that. And then closing game coming up against the VCS running an all-assassin comp. It is a lot of fun to watch, but it is a bit of a sad exit, you know, for a team that was famous for being Korean killers back in the day. And we need to see what they can do, how they're going to close this one out. Fongfu Buffalo, on the other hand, they've definitely picked up a few surprise wins, taking down G2 Esports both times. Now on the back foot against the Flash Wolves.
Well, one of the drawbacks is that they have a very short range composition, so it's hard to siege up at the remaining turrets. Shoutzy's deep in there. Is Kalista nearby? Yes.
Yeah, we'll be able to escape Kalista. Just use that Fates Call to get him out. And you mentioned the short range. When you kill everybody, the range doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Watch
That's
Boogie.
the game plan right now.
Watch Boogie.
Lure them out.
I can't watch Boogie. Boogie's invisible. Where did Boogie go?
Uh-oh.
Thank you, observers. Boogie escapes. It's actually kind of troll because while it does build tension, I genuinely don't know where the Evelyn goes. So I start panicking whenever the observers switch over to PvP.
Just behind you, Trevor.
Quick shot just down there going, ha, ha, ha!
I have so much fear.
I'm gonna wake up in the middle of the night tonight.
No, Boogie, no!
I'm just gonna play KDA right behind.
Boogie's almost got a death sentence, by the way. Because Meliodas was looking
Imagine
behind
that's the last thing you hear. Just the KDA theme song as she slowly walks up behind you.
You can tell it's been a long
I think
day,
we've broken
ladies and
Betty.
gentlemen.
I think
After the corgi butt and now this, I'm gone. I'm done.
I will admit, today's shoutcast with the caps dance with Corgi, and then the swords, look at all the swords. It definitely was a highlight moment, Mr. Day.
Honestly, that actually resonates with me as a former Talon player because, well, the best part is that whenever you go back, you just buy more longswords.
It's true.
How many longswords does he have in these items right now? It's over 10.
At least over, yeah, at
Over
least.
10 this longswords went into the making of this build.
Well, let's see if it's going to help Boogie out. He's going to jump onto Zeros. Zeros forced to flash another Vanguard's edge, unable to find a target because of the mobility on the Flash Wolf side. No flash, no ulti. Baron is up in 5 seconds. Infernal is up, and Flash Wolves, well, they can pick whatever objective they want.
All right, we've had time to do the math. 12 longswords, Thaddeus.
Let's count. Are there as many swords in the Talon Ultimate? Next
There's
time
more.
it's thrown up.
There's more.
Right, I trust you to count, Kobe. That is your mission, should you choose to accept it. Flash Wolves are going to allow Boogie to solo the Infernal, as he has done so. That's the second of the game. Baron is available. There is some vision from PvB, and Shoutzy once again playing bait. Got the Fate's Call available to him. Kalista throws it down. Rather will sidestep the chain of corruption of Flash Wolves. They've created the chaos. Now they're looking for the re-engage. There's all the swords. Gonna throw himself in. Rather gets taken out by Big Koro, but there's so much damage coming out from Boogie. But it's Fong Fu Buffalo that seemed to be in the advantageous position. Super minions on the Nexus turrets. Boogie is trying to turn this around. That's one, that's two. Betty is hopping and skipping and jumping with the help of Hanabi. And Pallet is left alone. Gets taken out by Flash Wolves. And the Super Minions will be ushered onto the Nexus as the Flash Wolves use their assassins flawlessly. Not done just
You can win a team fight.
Yeah, yes they can, Kobe. They're looking for the Nexus right now. Today we have proven that assassins are always the superior comp.
That's definitely the case. Flash Wolves will finish MSI with a win over Fong Vu Buffalo.
Hey! Flashy ultimate right there. Back into everyone. Definitely having some fun.
And you can see the looks on the faces of Flash Wolves. They have failed to advance to Taipei. They've failed to advance to the playoffs for the first time in the Flash Wolves MSI history. Similarly, on the side of Fong Vu Buffalo, they finish their MSI 2 wins, 8 losses in front of Hanoi, in front of their hometown crowd. But they made a lot of teams work for their wins.
Flash Wolves was super close to taking down Invictus Gaming today. Let's not forget that.
You know, the same can be said for Fong Vu Buffalo. 50 kills against IG. Got both Nexus turrets. It was crazy. It would have been a hell of a result. It didn't happen.
It certainly was. And this game was actually so fun that we have collected a highlight reel of replays to rewatch for your enjoyment. For some reason, we're not going to the analyst desk after this one.
Really? Could you theorize why? This I really love. Thank you very much to our production team for cutting back, of course. PvB, just as they were packing up to finish their game, I could see the referees on stage, you know, advising them to go say thank you to the crowd. And PvB, they're definitely proving that they are not to be trifled with on the international stage.
For me, what really stood out was how often so many of these teams created so many exciting moments throughout the tournament. And even though this game had no impact on the standings, it was just another one of those exciting games that both these teams were able to provide for us.
And don't forget, the Fong Vu Buffalo took 2 games off of G2, one of what looked like the strongest teams in the tournament. Here we go, though. Here's our replay highlight reel of the Assassin comp. This one was actually, I think, a good choice from PvP to start up the Baron and force them to come here and group up. But it was just so well played by Flash Wolves, splitting them apart, baiting them in. You can see everyone flashing forward, and then all 3 Assassins converge onto Big Koro. They force his stopwatch, they force his flash, they kill his teammates off. And they were able to chase
And it's all those long swords. If it wasn't for those long swords, it never would have worked.
So this is the final fight that we get to watch. The good Wimwall came out very early, meant that the support doesn't get down dropped immediately. Notice that the Evelyn isn't quite in the fight just yet. So this means that Flash Wolves are slowly getting chipped down. The Talon gets taken out of the fight because Fong Vu Buffalo are able to group up. Good flashes from the Buffalo mean that they avoid the execution damage from Boogie. But here you see just the amount of frontline damage coming out from Boogie when he's able to get that Q and E combo off.
Betty remains undefeated on Kalista in 2019. And what I really liked about watching Shoutzy's Thresh, not only was he on point with his death sentences, when he was playing bait, it was super clear that it was conscious, it was deliberate, and Callisto was always like, I got you, buddy. And Fongbu, they took the bait every single time. So Flash Wolves, they pick up the win. Did you like your assassin comp there, Kobe?
I did, and they got the crits.
Yes, they did.
As you know, the bonus for assassin comp is always crits.
Well, listen, that ends it, of course, for Flash Wolves as well as Fongbu Buffalo. I mean, it's interesting to think about the VCS as a league in a region. Fongbu, now 2 events in a row, taking out EVOS, Gigabyte Marines, proving that Vietnam's not to be trifled with. They've shown they can compete against the other emerging regions, but they're not quite on par with the likes of the major regions just yet.
Not just compete. I feel like Vietnam is for sure the best of the emerging regions.
For sure.
They've consistently proven to be top.
Also, I have to, clarify my point. They are better than 4 of the major regions, worse than 4 of the major regions, and better than 1. 0-2 for EU against this team.
Yes, it's true.
It's mind-boggling. And Venis, at the top of the day, you were even talking about how Flash Wolves and G2 conceded games to PvB at Worlds last year.
Yep.
Today wasn't the case, obviously, for at least one of those squads. But, I mean, it's a good sign for Vietnam.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see the growth of the region moving forward. They've already produced so many exciting teams in the past. You can imagine that they're only going to go up from here. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the representation at the World Championship once again. And we'll see how much growth they're able to make in that time frame.
Okay, so both of these teams are eliminated. We're going to turn our attention to SKT versus Invictus Gaming in a moment. Huge matchup in store to close out the group stage. SKT and the undefeated IG. We'll see you after the break. Meliodas is in range. Look at all the swords, Vedius! All of a sudden, though, it's Rather that's running for his life. Meliodas gets the first kill on the board for Fongbu Buffalo. Blade surges all the way in, manages to find the stun as well before he's taken down. As he finds himself one, he's already got a kill onto Meliodas. Fractals are grouped up. They've got a second, as well as one back for Fongbu Buffalo. Enemy decides to re-engage. Null is zoned away, so is Zeros. Pallet is down. Flash Wolves have got themselves a double kill. Hasn't thrown down the box just yet. Instead, will get pulled back by the Fate's Call, gets spat back out. Super minions on the Nexus turrets. Boogie is trying to turn this around. That's 1, that's 2. Betsy is hopping and skipping and jumping with the help of Hanabi, and Pallet is left alone.